Good day everyone. Welcome to today's tutorial where we will embark on a step-by-step journey to move always on enabled databases, data and log files to another drive online. Whether you are a seasoned database administrator or just getting started, this guide will walk you through the process with clarity and precision. So let's dive in and ensure a seamless migration of your database. Let's get started. Let's discuss on the environment where we are going to do this activity. So we have an always on availability group configured between JBS AG1 server and JBS AG2. The availability mode is synchronous commit. JBS AG1 acts as the primary replica and JBS AG2 acts as the secondary replica. Now, if you look at this JBS wiki always on availability group, as advised earlier, we have two replicas. And as far as the availability database is concerned, we have two databases, JBDB and JBS Wiki. Yep. So now what I'm going to do is like for JBDB, I'm going to move the database from one location to another location. Since it is a demo, what I'm going to do is like I'm going to move this database from its current location to a newer location. Yeah, but you can use the same method to move it from one drive to another drive as well. Yep. So now what I'm going to do on the primary replica, JBS AG1, JBDB, I'm looking at the database files. I'm using select star from sys files and sys.master_files. These are the two things that I'm going to use to check the location. And what I'm able to see is like JBDB database. Data file is on F drive data and log file is in F drive log folder. Okay, and sys.master_files also gives the same location. Just want to ensure they're both on the same one without any changes. Okay, and on the secondary replica JBS AG2, I'm running the same command. And if you see here, it is on F data file is on F drive data and log file is on F drive log. And if you see the output for sys.master_files, it's on the same location. Yeah. Now what I'm going to do is like I'm first going to work this out on the secondary replica. Whichever is the secondary replica, I'm going to perform the operation there. And once that is done, we will do a failover and then do it on the new secondary, which would be JBS AG1. But as of now, let's work on the secondary server. It's always good to take a full database backup, transaction log backup. You just need to ensure like you have valid backups before the activity. I don't think you need to take one before the activity, a full database backup, but ensure like you have a backup already in place, and that can be used in case there is a disaster. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is like I'm going to take a transaction log backup of this JBDB, and then what I will do is like I will disable all the backup jobs for this JBDB till this activity is completed, just to make sure like we will not be restoring any further transaction log backup after the whole activity is completed. So that's the reason I'm going to stop the backup jobs, and let's take a transaction log backup now. It's a lab machine, so I'm going to take the backup onto a location where the backups can be stored. In my case, I'm going to place it in C drive temp. Let's name it as JBDB _17 Jan 2024 _1107.trn. Yep. So let me change the backup type to transaction log, and then let's take a backup. Okay, the transaction log backup is completed for JBDB database. Now I will go ahead and disable any transaction log backups. Okay, so I've disabled the log backups. If you look at the secondary as well, it is disabled now. Yeah. Now what I'm going to do is let's ensure like the backup is placed on C drive temp. If you can see here, the transaction log backup is placed here. Okay, let's go to the secondary replica, which is JBS AG2. Let's go to JBS AG2 and then let's go to the always on availability group JBS wiki. Yep, and here we have this availability database JBDB. So now what I'm going to do is like I'm going to right click on it and then click on suspend data movement. Yeah, so let's click on OK here. Let's wait for it to complete. It's completed now. If you see here, the database is suspended now. And if you look at the always on availability group here, it is showing as error because we know we have suspended it. So the data from JBS AG1 will not be flowing to JBS AG2. Okay, so let's refresh JBS AG1 and JBS AG2. If you go look at the database, JBDB on primary is showing as synchronized, but if you look at JBS AG2, you will be seeing it as not synchronizing because we have suspended the data movement. Yeah. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to this always on availability group, JBS wiki. And as far as this JBDB database is concerned, I will right click and click on remove secondary database. Okay, let's remove the secondary database. So if you see here, now the JBDB is in a warning state right now. Yeah, so now it is time we move the database from the current location to a new location. In our case, the new location would be this one, C drive temp. So the data file is currently on the secondary server. If you see here, the data file is on the location F drive data for the data file, and log file is in F drive log. Just for demo purpose, what I'm going to do is like I'm going to move these two files onto the same location called C drive temp JBDB. That's the location I'm going to move. Okay, so let's move the JBDB file location from the existing location to C drive temp JBDB. You need to ensure like you have this location created, or whatever the folder structure, whether it is going to be on the same drive or onto a new drive, you will have to make sure like both the servers are the same location. Yep. Once that is once everything is in place, you need to run the alter database command. But before that, let's refresh the JBS AG2 once and then look at the database here. The database is in restoring. If you look at it, it is restoring as soon as we removed it from the AG. It is in restoring. We have removed the secondary database. So if you see here, it is in warning symbol and the database is in restoring state now. So now what I'm going to do on the secondary server JBS AG2, I'm going to run this command, which is basically like I'm telling that I'm going to move this a database JBDB's data file JBDB. If you see here, the data file name is JBDB and log file name is JBDB underscore log. So to C drive temp JBDB. So this is where I'm going to move it. So let's run it. So it is basically telling the file JBDB has been modified in the system catalog. The new path will be used the next time the database is started. Yeah. And now I'm going to do the same thing for the log file as well. Let's remove that. So now the same information is there. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to run this and see what is the location that I'm going to see. So if you see here, I'm getting this error because JBDB is in restoring state. Let's do a select star from master. It's I'll give it 2 minutes. Okay, it's connected. Now I'm going to run this command. So if you see here, sys.master underscore files is basically telling it is the a new location it has taken. Now what we need to do is like we need to restart the SQL services on JBS AG2. Let's open the SQL configuration manager and stop the SQL services on JBS AG2, which is your secondary right now. Okay, so I'm going to stop the SQL services on the secondary server, which is JBS AG2. Once the SQL services is stopped, what we'll do is like we will move the files from uh, the old location to the new location. So the SQL services is down now. So now what I'm going to do is like I'm going to move the file. First, I'm going to copy it and then put it on the new location. It is done. Then maybe you can leave it and then do it later, but I will remove it right away. Yeah. It's a demo machine, so I'm doing it whatever is fine for me. But on a production, if you want to place it on a folder or rename it, that is fine. But what I'm going to do is like I'm just copied it to the new location. So if you see here JBDB and JBDB underscore log, both are on the new location. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to start the SQL services on the JBS AG2. I've copied over the file and then I'm starting it. Now what I'm going to do is like I'm going to go to the SSMS and then look for that database in the availability group and then join it. Okay, so now let's refresh JBS AG2 and JBS AG1. Okay, let's go to JBS AG2 on the availability group folder. So we have this JBS Wiki availability group, and if you see here, the JBDB database is online. Yep, so everything seems to be good. And then now if I look at the always on availability group dashboard for JBS Wiki on JBS AG1, let's look at the always on availability group dashboard. Everything seems to be good. Yep. So right now I just restarted the stopped the SQL services and then moved the file location manually and then started it, and the availability group database came online without any issues. And sometimes there is a possibility it might be removed from the availability group condition. There you will be seeing a warning. What you can do is like you just need to right click on it and then click on join to availability group. But in my case, it is all joined without any issues. Yeah, everything looks good, and also the availability group dashboard clearly shows me like everything is good as far as JBDB database is concerned. Now what we need to do is like now that the location is moved, let's verify that on JBS AG2. Let's click on a new query window and then do a select star. Let's copy it from or else let's go to JBS AG1. We are connected to JBS AG2. Let's run this query. Yeah. So if you see here, let's change this master database to JBDB, and then if you run it, what we are able to see is like the select star from sys files is basically showing the old location. Yep. But the sys.master underscore files is showing the correct location, which is C drive temp JBDB. That's the location where the file is actually moved. Okay, so we get the correct result on sys.master underscore files because this is present on the master database. Yeah, we have changed this in the master database on the secondary replica. The system database master will not be part of availability group, and it is maintained separately for each instance. And this is the reason we get the correct location of the database files on the secondary replica. Yep. So now what we'll do is like let's do a refresh of JBS AG2. And then if you see here, JBDB is synchronized. So now what I'm going to do is like I'm going to fail over the availability group JBS wiki to the secondary replica. Yeah. So let's fail over to the secondary replica, and then let's perform the same steps on the current secondary replica after the failover, which will be JBS AG1. JBS AG1 till now was the primary replica. Now after this failover, JBS AG1 has become the secondary replica. Let's do it for the other availability group also, because we will stop the SQL services in some time. Yeah. So let's do it for the other database as well. And once this is done, what we'll do is like we will work on the primary replica, which is JBS AG1. Okay, so now the failover is complete. Let's execute this command two more time on JBDB. And now if you see, this is files 2 has got the proper location. Yeah. After the failover, everything looks good. Now what I'm going to do is like I'm going to do the same thing on JBS AG1 as well. So first let's look at the location for JBS AG1. So right now we are in JBS AG1. Let's run it. So if you see here, it is basically telling like that the JBDB location is the new location and JBDB log is in the new location, but sys master underscore files is still pointing to the old location. Okay, so now on the current secondary, which is JBS AG1, let's do a refresh. And then let's go to the availability group. So JBS wiki, what I'm going to do is like, if you see here, availability replicas is AG1 and AG2, and this is secondary. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to right click and do the suspend data movement. Yeah, let's wait for the suspend data movement to complete. And once it is completed, what we'll do is like, we will do the remove secondary database. Okay, so remove secondary database is completed. Now what I'm going to do is like I'm going to execute this command, but I will connect to the current secondary, which is JBS AG1. Okay, so let's run this command. So on the JBDB, I'm moving it to the new location. Yeah, so if you see here, the file JBDB has been modified in the system catalog. It clearly tells like in the system catalog, which is your sys.master underscore files. And let's do the same thing for the log file as well. So it is done now. And let's go to JBS AG1 and then let's run this. Before running it, let's look at it. On the database sys files, it is telling it as new location because it has taken it from the current primary, which is your JBS AG2. But on the sys.master underscore files, it is showing as F drive data, which is your old location. Now we have run the alter command, so let's run it. Same issue, we were connected to JBDB, so let's use master. Okay, so it's connecting to JBS AG1. It's connected, so let's run it. You can't run the sys files because it will give the location for the master files. So if you see here, now the sys.master underscore files is showing this location. Okay. Now what we'll do is like we will stop the SQL Server services here and then move the files manually. Let's stop the SQL services on the current secondary, which is JBS AG1. Let's go ahead and stop it. Once the SQL services are stopped, what we'll do is like we will move the files JBDB from the data folder and JBDB underscore log from the log folder to the new location. Yeah, so SQL services is down now. Let's refresh it. Yes, it is down. So now what we need to do is like we need to move the files to the new location. So let me do a copy, paste it. I will remove it. You decide what you need to do, but I will remove it since it is a lab machine. Same way I will do for the log file. It is done, so I will remove this one as well. And then now I will start the SQL services. Let's start the SQL services. Okay, so the SQL services are online. Let's go to the SQL Server Management Studio. Let's do a refresh here. So let's see if the SQL agent is online. SQL agent is online. Okay, so let's do a refresh. Okay, so now let's look at the always on availability group and then go to JBS wiki folder and say, if you see here, as soon as I restarted, the join happened automatically for JBDB. And now if I look at the database here, the database is all synchronized. Yeah. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to check for the always on availability group here for the JBS wiki. And then if I look at it here, what I'm able to see is like everything seems to be great. Like both the databases are online. I don't see any issues at all. Now what I'm going to do is like I'm going to do a failover back here. Yeah, so let's do a failover back and then let's keep everything online. And before that, I forgot to run this query. Let's close this. Let's not have this one. So if you see here on JBS AG2, let's run that on JBDB. It's on the new location, both the database level on and also on the instance level. Let's do the same thing for JBS AG1, the current secondary. Yeah, so let's remove it. And then if you see here, it is pointing to the new location. Yeah, so now I'm going to do a failover. Let's wait for the failover to complete. So if you look at this, everything we have completed online. The only time we had the downtime is like when we first failovered from JBS AG1 to JBS AG2, and then from JBS AG2 to JBS AG1. These are the two places where we had the downtime. Then downtime is like matter of say, at least in my case, it was a matter of 2 or 3 seconds. Other than that, we never had any downtime on the database when we were doing the work on the secondary. Primary was always available. Either it was JBS AG1 or AG2, but primary was always available. And that way, we clearly minimized a downtime for this particular operation. Okay, so remember to enable all the backup jobs that you have disabled. Please remember to enable that. And that's it for this video. We have completed the step-by-step approach of moving the data and log file location of an user database that is part of always on availability group. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Jai Hind.